Okay, so our first speaker for today is Dr. Alison Green she's the Executive Director of the Scientist Warning Foundation, and she's based in Cambridge in UK, and she's a cognitive psychologist. I think I'll let her do a bit more introduction about herself, and we'll have her for like our opening speaker for today.
Super, thank you. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me here today. It's a great honour for me to be able to speak with you. Today, I'd like to talk with you about precarity and power. So first, we're going to look at our precarious predicament. Now, you all know the science. The scientists have been warning about the looming climate and ecological crisis for decades, and their words have not been heeded. Today, we are on a trajectory towards chaos. Scientists like Professor Bill Maguire now openly express their lack of confidence in governments acting in time to limit warming to below 1.5 degrees. And the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions that is needed is, in his view, practically impossible. So in spite of decades of warnings, then, we have failed to bend the emissions curve. Now, at the heart of the problem is power. And power is the ability or the capacity to do something or to act in a particular way. But where does power reside and manifest today? Well, power sits with governance, with geopolitics, and with the vested interests of fossil fuel corporations that we all know and love and hate. It sits with orthodox thinking around economics, and such as the assumptions that underpin the IPCC integrated assessment models. And these assumptions do not embody the transformative change that's urgently needed by society. Now, the extreme inequality that our current systems support protects those causing harm from the consequences of their action. And many do not see the impacts that their high carbon lifestyles have on the vulnerable, and some knowingly look away. So my advice, my first point, is to please try to make sure that you understand power. It's a very complex concept, that you understand power in its many manifestations and how it's preventing the radical transformation that you know we need, that we all know we need. So what does higher education have to do with this? Well, a lot. Now, our institutions, including our higher education institutions, explicitly and implicitly allow the status quo to continue. And yes, academics do some incredible research and they produce some excellent programs. I've been an academic myself for decades. That's not disputed. And you are all already doing amazing work to push educational institutions to do more and to act faster. But it's not enough for academic institutions to get their estates in order and to achieve their own operational net zero plans. They are actually perpetuating the crisis through much of their research and teaching. Now, some research actually causes harm, and that's obvious. The research that seeks to optimize fossil fuel extraction, for example. But other kinds of harm are less obvious. And these may be harms caused by the colonialist mindsets imposing solutions on the global south. And in the case of teaching, current academic programs are siloed, so they don't teach the big picture and the wider context. And much is taught through the narrow lens of the discipline, which means that the kinds of education you're getting is very impoverished and it's not preparing you adequately for the future. Worse, some programs deliberately feed the crisis by continuing to support careers in the fossil fuel industry. And other programs fail to anticipate the future that's coming down the tracks. So in short, much curriculum is just not fit for future purpose. Now next point is important. I would like you to fully realise and to fully understand that power sits with you. So what can you do with your power? You have much, much more power than you imagine. And you must all demand change, and you can do this in different ways. You can speak truth to power. You can insist that your courses teach you and prepare you for the precarious future that's coming down the tracks. And teaching about the poly crisis must not be an add-on. It must not be a 5-minute session on a Friday afternoon. It must be woven into all aspects of teaching and learning. Now, this is the goal of a new initiative I'm working on with a consortium of educators and academics, and we would love to work with you to drive real change. So I would urge you to contact me by the conference organisers if you'd like to learn more. We'd be delighted to work with you. You can demand that your institution stops accepting fossil fuel money for research, and there are campaigns already to do this. And you can demand that your institution stops promoting careers in the fossil fuel industry. There's some great work ongoing by different organisations on that front. Now, the biggest action you can collectively take is to vote with your feet. You can avoid institutions that have a poor ranking in the People and Planet league tables. And I can see that you have a speaker from People and Planet later on. They do amazing work. But by using tactics and by voting with your feet, you can be far more disruptive than you imagine. And you can do this by impacting an institution's bottom line. And that bottom line is not students and student satisfaction, it's a financial bottom line. So institutions derive all their revenue from, much of their revenue from teaching. Now, a coordinated campaign demonstrating your power could cause significant disruption. However, I acknowledge that that comes at a price to you, because such a campaign would disrupt your own education, would disrupt your own learning. But in my view, institutions are not acting fast enough. They're not going far enough. They're not moving quickly enough. We have a very small window now in which to try to minimize the harms that are actually going to be caused. It's widely acknowledged that we will overshoot the 1.5 degree target. Emissions are not coming down as swiftly as they need to. And although it's fair to say that institutions are moving in the right direction, the scientist Peter Kalmus will say that winning slowly is the same as losing. It's time for radical action. So it's our responsibility as the grown-ups in the room to support you in every way we can. And we owe it to you to act. And we need to help you to discover your own power and how you can leverage that. So I'd like to thank you for listening and to wish you a very productive and constructive conference. You are absolutely inspiring. You give me hope that the future can be a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alison, for your sharing. I think it was very inspiring to hear from you and to start off our conference. I think it's a great start for our conference, and we look forward to a lot of discussions with, moving on as well. Maybe let me just ask now, does anyone have any questions maybe for Dr. Alison? If not, then maybe I think maybe I can ask a question of my own first to start it off. I guess about what you spoke about, like power and like how students can act and like can kind of change things. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on that and kind of give us suggestions, I guess, from your perspective of how you feel like students can best maybe impact universities and like how we can best achieve this?
So some immediate things that you can do as current students is to talk with those people who are delivering programs to you, and to request and demand that they actually start to talk about the wider context and the big picture. And if you can do that en masse, then those kinds of responses then have got to be heard by the faculty, by the departments. So that's one way in which you can start. But something else that you can do, which is much more disruptive and would take more organising, would be for you to talk with people who aren't yet at university and who are in the position of potentially making choices about what to study and where to go. And that is one of your biggest levers of power. That's where you can start to be maximally disruptive. It's very controversial, I agree, but it would be maximally disruptive. And what you would then be doing would be encouraging students to think about the consequences of the programs of studies they're about to embark on, and to invite them to consider studying elsewhere. And the reason it's so important is because all universities predict, and their financial planning is all based on anticipated student numbers. So they will assume that student numbers from year to year will vary, by sort of small margins. And I can say this because I've run a university in the past. If you can disrupt that, if you can disrupt the flows of students, you will immediately have the spotlight on you. You will be showing and demonstrating that you understand where your power sits and that you can use it. And if you wanted to discuss such a campaign or think about a campaign, I would be delighted to help you.
Thank you. I think we would love to follow up on that and maybe like have a meeting with you to talk more about like our international campaign as well. So I think we have quite a few questions, 2 raised hands and 1 in the chat. Maybe I'll start with Anna and then move on to the one in the chat and then go on to HP. So Anna, if you'd like to maybe ask your question first.
Hello, Alison. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm from Uniclima, the local climate students in Brazil. So I'm wondering about like the curricular change and how we should adapt it to depending on the course, on the department. So, but the thing is, at least in my university, we have a lot of older teachers, professors, and I feel like they are not really willing to make those curricular changes and, you know, get up to date with the newest science. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering if you have any advice on how to approach them and what we can offer them in return.
Okay, so with people who are more established and more conservative, if you like, in their teaching, then the kind of sticks approach might not work. What you can do is incentivize changes. You can talk about the ways in which their course approval ratings might go up if they start to teach the kinds of things that you need and want. So if you can find evidence, for example, of students having talked with their lecturers, with their professors about what they want, and then that having a positive influence on how that person's teaching is perceived, that's a massive incentive. So you can incentivize, you can be very clever about, you know, the kinds of ways in which you point out, you know, what you want your lecturers to do and what's in it for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think for the next question, Betty Lu from the chat asked, where could we find the information about whether an educational institution is doing harm to the people and planet? Like, I guess how we can research it. I know People and Planet in the UK is a good resource, but I guess maybe for countries, especially that do not have such a developed framework and things like that, do you have any advice on that part as well?
It's such a good question. You could look at the overall curriculum and look at all of the courses they're offering and to try and take a view on whether they're offering courses that are you know, friendly towards the environment, if you like, or are they offering courses that still anticipate the same old kind of, you know, situation that we're currently in. So you could look, for example, at their geology teaching. I mean, because geology is closely associated with the fossil fuel industry. So are they still talking about those old extractivist methods, or are they actually looking at, you know, renewables? You could look at the engineering curriculum as well to see whether they are supporting renewables and those sorts of things. You could look at the social sciences curriculum, and a key indicator of how progressive an institution is are things like their economics curriculum and their business curriculum. So are they advocating the same old MBAs, you know, Masters in Business Administration? Are they advocating classical economics, or are they much more proactively promoting things like ecological economics? You know, are they looking at different kinds of MBAs that sort of look at the different measures of GDP? Are they teaching degrowth? That's a really good indicator as to how, you know, how avant-garde, if you like, an institution might be. So there are some indicators that you can go for. You can ask about their revenue from fossil fuel companies. You know, how much money are they actually accepting for research? You know, are any fossil fuel companies actually funding any posts in the department? So there are certain things that you can do. It will take a little bit of work to do that kind of research, but it's worth doing to look at the green credentials of your institution.
Thank you. I think that's a great answer and a good start, I think, for a lot of student groups that are thinking of maybe starting their own campaign. I think now we can move on to Geoffrey from Uganda, the HP, who has his hand raised. I think he also has a question for you.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for this kind of sharing, Doctor. My name is Geoffrey from Uganda. I'm a climate activist under the Green Life Network MOBS chapter. Yeah, I love the idea of you saying that the students from universities are not really too much embracing this issue of climate. But one challenge we are facing this side of Uganda is, I think we are not having connections with the right people to help us fight the cause, but because you find there are those who are really interested in the move for fighting against climate change, but what is the motivating factor at the end of the day? We don't have people to motivate us. We are not having many on board to come and join us. But I strongly believe now that you've said we can reach out to you and we try to connect and create ties. I think that ties is going to really help us a little much better. If maybe we could maybe connect and you share with us your email and we engage more and see how we build this, because we are really too much interested and we feel we are the future, because the old people that we think are living right now, they are now living their last days on this earth, and we are the young ones that are going to face the challenge in the nearby future to come. So if we can't fight, then we are living no more as well. We may live shorter than the people that have lived longer than us. Thank you very much, Dr. Alison.
You're welcome. So one point I'd like to make, and it's your point about connections and not having connections. So the new venture that I'm a part of is working with a consortium of people, of academics who've developed some MOOCs, some free online educational resources. And what we hope to do, subject to funding, is to put together a collection of resources so that we can offer these resources to the Global South, students in the Global South, at a much, much reduced rate, so that we can kind of circumvent some of those problems with connections that you have and actually give you the kind of education that you need, but at a much, much cheaper rate than would be the case otherwise. So that's something, again, I'd like, we can talk through the conference organisers about that new work that I'm doing and how we can work with you and how you can help us shape that.
Thank you, Dr. Alison, for sharing. And we have another question in the chat, but I think because of the interest of time, we need to move on. Are you okay if anyone has any more questions, if we could email some of those to you and you could maybe respond to that as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just so thank you so much for the wonderful questions. It's been an honour to be here with you. I find you inspiring. I get very emotional when I think about what you're all doing. So thank you so much and good luck and enjoy your conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Justina, as well. And we will definitely send that over to Dr. Alison and follow that up as well. I think now we will move on to start sharing about climate students movement, especially for some of maybe the conference viewer who maybe don't know us as well. Let me just share my screen and we can get started on that.
So hi everyone. We hope that you enjoyed the opening speaker. I think, Dr. Alison was really insightful about what she was saying. So we thought we'd introduce ourselves to people who don't necessarily know us. So I'm Lucy, and then you've been listening to Isha as well, and we're both from the CSM board. So just to give you an overview of our movement, Climate Students was started in 2018 by our chairperson, Rosemary Sundstrom, and she was inspired by a speech by the climate scientist Kevin Anderson, and he was talking about the role of universities in kind of combating the climate crisis, because historically student movements and student activism has created a lot of positive change in society. So she felt that needed to intersect into the climate crisis. So she started with a local group at her own university in Sweden before starting a national group or a national movement in Sweden. And then in 2020, we reached out or that formed into an international movement as well. So we began with some monthly networking sessions, which some of you might have attended, and we invited speakers. We wanted students to meet online to form ideas about what the movement could achieve and what kind of space that we wanted to create as well. And then after a few sessions, we then formed a small team with just 6 of us from Sweden, UK, Kenya, and Singapore. And from there, we created an idea of what we wanted the international movement to look like. And we started to build on that idea, and we created more a kind of a wider network of student groups who would be interested in sharing ideas and challenges, addressing the problems they were facing, but also thinking about the solutions. We wanted to involve both existing student groups who had these experiences already, and also support students in places where there might not be such existing movements, and help them to build their own momentum.
So that's kind of what we did. We started out, and we have now kind of like members in many of the different continents, including South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. We've established national members such as those in Sweden, Netherlands, and Uganda. And we also have relatively newer members such as those in Brazil, Singapore, Nigeria, and very recently Bangladesh, that started kind of with our international movement and started together with it. And we're very excited to continue to engage some potential members from Germany, Austria, Kyrgyzstan, Sri Lanka, and Somalia that applied recently, and US, a group from US that we've just met, I think earlier this week as well. But what does membership in Climate Students do? So the base outline of our membership is mostly monthly meetings where we coordinate between our members, basically. And these meetings alternate between updates where members share about their current situation, challenges, and discuss some of the solutions for these challenges, as well as capacity building, where we will hold like workshops or invite external speakers to share about their expertise. For example, climate finance, climate justice, how to advocate for curriculum changes within universities, and so on. So we're always trying to reflect and take suggestions so that we can try different things and improve as a movement and better support our members essentially. We're also currently working on providing more specific and direct support to members. So this includes involving them with planning on an international level for some international events, possibly mentorship as well, and networking assistance, and potentially funding support. Moving forward, that's also something that we really want to look into.
Yeah, so when we started, we actually already wanted to create a campaign that focused on supporting students to get universities to commit with being in line with climate science. Because universities are one of the main contributors to climate science, we believe that they should practice what they teach. So according to a UNESCO chair, only about 6% of people attend university, but they take up 80% of the leadership positions. So as innovators in society, universities have the responsibility to create solutions and provide both formal and informal curriculum changes or curriculum teaching to the students they're producing, and act as role models for society. So following this, we started building the Ideas for Action campaign. We wanted a student climate framework that universities could sign to commit to setting targets in line with climate science and equity. We wanted them to declare a climate emergency, form a sustainability committee, report on climate impact annually, and also create and implement an action plan to work towards these goals as well. So to build these goals, we wanted to gather students' ideas for actions that universities could consider and set up university rankings, like some that you'll hear today, on climate action to motivate more kind of collaboration and action from the universities in terms of climate solutions. However, I guess that's when we started to experience that progress isn't always linear, and sometimes you need a lot of effort to get the momentum and kind of going, and also to keep the momentum going. So we have struggled with manpower issues because we are a voluntary organisation, and it has taken us time, and I guess we wanted to share that in kind of the interest of transparency to, you need time to reflect and regroup. So we thought about that, and then we launched our upcoming campaign, which is the #ActOnYourClimateScience campaign. We started to reach out and connect with other student and climate organisations, such as Students Organising for Sustainability International, SOS, and also Global Student Forum, GSF, and we've formed a coalition with them work on this campaign together. Yes, and then I think Isha, you're doing the next bit, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea for our campaign. At this point, we just want to mention also an important point, which is just don't be afraid to ask. Throughout our movement, we were always a bit unafraid to reach out to people and ask, even people that maybe seem a bit out of our league or something like that. Basically, just don't be afraid to not get an answer or to get a no, because the more you ask, the higher your chances, essentially. And you never know what amazing things that they can bring into your events or meetings as well. Many people in the climate movement are also quite warm and helpful and quite willing to help. And so you have to take any opportunities that you can, and also do remember to kind of give back when possible. So if people need your help to ask you, or they ask you for something, also try to help them when you can. Sharing opportunities, sharing ideas, and building each other up will allow us to grow like together faster, basically. Yeah, so where are we at the campaign now? An important step we've arrived at is to create a proposal and budget plan to reach out for funding support that will support both international team and some national mobilization. We've also successfully recruited coordinators in 14 countries and started some academy training session on the topics of climate science and how to develop the campaign. And we look forward to supporting them in building their own campaign teams in their own countries right now. We've also conducted discussions with the European Student Union and the All Africa Student Union recently, and we're hoping to hold regional introductory meeting with their national unions so that we can expand the campaign and recruit more coordinators, which will also be, and this will also be held in conjunction with Green Office Movement, who will be sharing about like their movement essentially. And I think tomorrow at the session tomorrow, Mache from Green Office will also be sharing more about their movement. Throughout this process, we've learned the importance of working towards making our movement more sustainable. We understand that fatigue can occur and we need to reevaluate how we manage it sometimes. And it's also something that we're working on as an international organization, but we're very hopeful and excited to grow the campaign together with our coordinators.
Yes, so recently we've been working on increasing the capacity of our movement in kind of two other key areas. So the communication committee and the finance committee. During last year's general meeting with our members, as our movement has grown a lot from what it started, we again reflected on the importance of having regular external communication about our work, and also it's really important to have funding or a source of funding to allow us to grow and support our members as a movement. So by reaching out to some of our members, we've started to form a small team of students who assist us with creating more professional work for our social media outputs, graphics and things. This started around April this year during Sustainability Month, which we will share about in a bit. And the content that we've been creating for this conference as well has largely been created by our communications team. So that's a massive step forward for us. It's allowed our movement to gain good traction. It's allowed us to reach out to more people and establish good connections. And we hope that this will continue through the next year. And moving forward, we also hope to produce videos and sharings with other online influencers and start to write and publish articles and guides, and also create a separate website for our campaign.
Yeah, and so moving forward, we also kind of started up like our own like finance committee a little later. A little later in the year, after we've worked with basically Global Student Forum on the budget plan and proposal for the campaign, we got some very valuable advice as well from our own coordinators. So we started working on our own finance committee and started systematically working towards getting our own finance opportunities. We started creating some concept notes and ideas, and we're also planning to kind of create some pitch for potential sponsors. And we're currently discussing strategies, mapping possibilities and networks, and we hope to secure funding for our national campaign teams and possibly also some of our members who may need it for some of their projects as well, and the international board. We've also started getting some invitation as speakers to events from last year, and we're invited to 2 conferences this year, and we're very honored and excited to be invited to attend this and share our ideas. We can't wait to reach and engage more students around the world and grow together as a movement. And moving forward, we also plan to study a bit more about the possibilities of engaging with COP28 and supporting our members and our campaign team, I guess, to set up the local conferences of youth in places that may not have it, or to involve them with such projects as well.
Yeah, so lastly, we want to talk about, I guess, two major activities that we are planning to hold annually moving forward. So the first is our conference that we've been holding in some capacity right now since, I guess, the beginning of October 2020. And as you can see, the conference is an opportunity for us to celebrate the achievements that we've accomplished as an international movement, and also as individual member groups, as you'll see a bit later today. So today, during this event, we'll be showcasing our work, we'll be gathering suggestions on how to improve, hopefully inspiring more students to start up their own local groups and projects, and also motivating ourselves for the upcoming year. So that's the first one. And then the second major activity is that we've started to hold on an international and kind of annual basis is Sustainability Month, and that's held in April every year, that you might have seen. So it's based on the idea that one day, Earth Day, is not enough to achieve sustainability goals and to address them. So we're recognising April as a Sustainability Month, and we want to set the tone to promote sustainable practices and norms, both for individual and organisational changes. So this began in April 21, locally with one of our members in Finland, Complex, and they advocated strongly for it and worked with us closely to push the projects internationally this year in 2020. So we've successfully engaged up to 23 organisations in this work. There were 8 international activities as well as some local activities held during the month. And also moving forward in 2023, we hope to engage a lot more organisations to create these events and to join this Sustainability Month. And also to think about how events can reach out in different aspects of the climate sphere, so such as music, poetry, and kind of hackathon events as well. So we want to work towards making Sustainability Month more known, with more publicity, and make it more mainstream as well by reaching out to libraries, museums, local government, university departments, community centres, media outlets, kind of social media influencers, and others as well. So if you're keen to join the Sustainability Month Planning Committee, you can put it in the chat, or we've got some more information later as well.
And some other consideration we've been pondering over include how to motivate students and institutions on how to act. For example, maybe increasing climate awareness in some places, or like how to close this science action gap for people who are already aware about climate issues. Towards that goal, we've been planning to create a climate survey about internet connectivity in Africa with regards to how it relates to climate, as well as building a community of students, for example, on Discord, who may not be necessarily directly involved with the work we're doing, but are involved with climate discussions and maybe involved in other related works. So we hope this can help to build connections and networks and set up potential space for potential collaboration. So lastly, I think here are some ways you can connect with us, and we'll be dropping the links in the chat and sending out in the follow-up email as well. I think we're a little short on time. I'll just quickly address 2 things that were mentioned in the chat. I think Deborah shared about an international WhatsApp resource, the manifesto from SOS. We actually are aware of it, and we're also advocating for it in our campaign as well. But I think we'd love to connect and collaborate as well. I think we can maybe email you after the event to talk about it. And regarding Abu Bakar Ali's question about whether we have campaign in Denmark or Europe currently, we don't have the campaign in Denmark yet, and we recently have reached a coordinator, I think a team of 4 in Belgium. So we're hoping to connect and start that up in Belgium. And we would love to have more campaigns in Europe as well, and something that we're working on at the moment. Lucy, should we just give a quick 2 minutes, 3 minutes for anyone that have any questions, or shall we move on?
Yeah, I think someone might have just asked another question actually, Isha, in the chat.
No, the question was that do you have a campaign in Nigeria at the moment? If I remember correctly, we don't have a campaign in Nigeria. So if you're keen, I think we'll share more about the possibility and the opportunity for that, I think, at the end of today as well.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I'm happy that this meeting is recorded. My name is Michael from Nigeria. I heard about this meeting from SOS International, Green Movement, and I'm trying to look through the charts to see if I have any person from the Green Movement that should be here. I can't seem to figure that out. However, my name is Michael, like I said, and I'm not actually a student. I'm gone past being a student. However, I am involved in the sustainability space, and I work with an institute, a research institute, an advocacy institute that is focused in sustainability concerns. But because of our interest to promote sustainability in the country and ensure adequate increased understanding, awareness, and responsiveness of climate change issues, vis-a-vis where we are with the where we are in the country with regards to climate action, particularly the actions that are taken from the government angle, is the reason why we are interested in promoting sustainability. So I wanted to ask, for me, that is not a student that is interested to promote sustainability, how do I work with, how do I engage in the campaign? Is there a space for my organization to partner with your organization? What is the option that are open? For SOS, we already have a nice working relationship, and my organization, or the organization I work for, is now responsible in promoting green offices in every university in the country. That's one way we're already working together. So I thought I should just know what the campaign. I just wanted to know what plan you have for people like us that are not actually students but have an intention to promote sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think that's a very relevant question as well. So I think I'll just quickly answer that. So essentially for our campaign, the coordinators have to be students. So we have two main coordinators, and the coordinators have to be students, but they can form a campaign team, and the campaign team doesn't have to be all students. Some of them are like maybe recent graduates and things like that. And we also encourage the campaign team to work with other organizations and local organizations in their own country. So in that aspect, like once we've set up like 2 student coordinators in Nigeria, we would highly encourage them to maybe work together with your organizations, especially since you guys are also working closely to like set up green offices and things like that. That's also something we want to push for in our campaign. So that's roughly, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, okay, fine. Yes. But lastly, do you have coordinators in Nigeria already? Do you have your presence in Nigeria? Or if it's a yes, fine, I'll connect with them. If it's a no, it then means I have to take up the responsibility to ensure that you can have that.
In a sense, we have a member group in Nigeria, but like not a campaign team. So the member group, essentially they work more on their own project relating to sustainability and not necessarily directly the campaign. And we can definitely link you up with them after this meeting. I think I'll just quickly run through some of the questions that are asked in the chat, and then I think we'll move on to the next segment because we're running a bit short on time. We have 11 countries in Africa regarding the campaign, and we have some members in Africa in Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya. I hope I didn't miss anyone else. I can't list all the countries now, but yeah, basically we have about 11 at the moment. We don't have a campaign in Uzbekistan. We have a coordinator and we're working for a group in Kyrgyzstan, but other than that, no one else in Central Asia, I think. In Uganda, we do have a campaign team and I think a member group, so Green Life Network, which I think is the one that you're part of. And we can engage more if there are any projects that you'd like to work on. We'll send another Discord link that's not expired later on in the chat, I think, and also in the message. Currently, there are no campaigns in the South Pacific Island countries, but but we are recently engaged with this organization called Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change. I think if you're in the Pacific, it's good to check them out. They have quite an active work and campaign, and we're hoping to work closely with them in future as well. Yeah, and like Anna said, if you don't have a campaign in your country, you're very welcome to try to start one up, engage with us, and we would love to help to support you and build up your campaign or your movement as well. Okay, I think that's all the time we have for now. I think the next part is a break. Lucy, do you think we should go for maybe a 4 minutes break and come back at in about 4 minutes? Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that's good. If we come back at 15:50, if that's all right with everyone.
Yeah, so it's just going to be a 4 minutes break. Afterwards, you're going to hear from some of our members in different countries to share more about their own local projects and what they've been doing in their own country, which is a bit more of the concrete ideas, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that I know a lot of you have put messages in the chat, but if you are in a country and you're not sure whether we've got a campaign or a member group in your country, if you email us on that email that we put in, we will get back to you and connect you with any existing members we've got already. I think that might be easier for us to follow. But yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes.
What we have right now is our member sharing. So we're starting with a group from Singapore called NTU Green Sparks, one of our members, and Melody will be sharing about her group, basically. Melody, feel free to share your screen and let me know if there's any problem. Melody, you're mute.
Yeah, sorry. Hello everyone. Y'all can see the screen, right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm Melody from NTU Green Sparks, Singapore. Nice to meet all of you. I'm glad to be here to present about my group, and I hope that this presentation will inspire others to start their own local groups or take up similar sustainability projects. Okay, and without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so let me start off with how NTU Green Sparks came to be. The group started in 2020 when one of our members joined a local climate students group in Sweden and was inspired to start a local group in Singapore, pushing for change in the universities. So it started between a few friends, and we started by reaching out to existing student groups in Singapore to understand better the current situation in the country, consider and gather ideas about what we can do for sustainability, and think about starting a national organization. As for me, I found out about this group in 2021 when my friends who are in NTU Green Sparks recommended it to me. So I joined the group as I was interested in sustainability and wanted to do my part in pushing for sustainability in NTU. Our goals are to promote transparency of figures on the carbon emissions in NTU, get NTU to set a goal to reduce their emissions on science-based targets, reduce emissions through start changing our power source to cleaner energy, source from more environmentally friendly companies, and raise awareness about recycling and other individual efforts made in NTU, etc. And strengthen national network between universities for better cooperation. We hope to achieve this by connecting with the higher ups in our university and influence from there. So our group has two subgroups, the social group and the campaign subgroup. The social group is in charge of creating promotional materials for our events and promoting events on our socials, such as Instagram. They are also in charge of managing and maintaining our social accounts, such as Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. They also create the NTU Green Sparks website and will continue to update it. The campaign subgroup, which I'm a part of, plans and hosts events. For example, documentary viewing events, panel discussion, and contacting key people such as the NTU Sustainability Office, and potential collaborators such as other student green groups or sustainability organizations. We also draft proposals for any form of initiatives. For example, like pushing for a sustainability executive for the student union in NTU, which I will talk about more later. So now I'll talk about some of our past events. One of our events include like setting up a panel during a university-wide exhibition in March 2022. We were able to exhibit with the help of another student green group called Earthlink. The topic we presented in the exhibition panel is about how land clearing impacts biodiversity. Another one was a documentary viewing which we titled The Tide Talks, and it was held during Sustainability Month. The documentary we played during the event was about how certain corals are able to thrive despite rising sea temperatures due to climate change. During the event, participants watched the documentary and discussed it among themselves. To encourage discussions, we prepared discussion questions and also participate in the discussion and gave our thoughts on the documentary. And previously, we also created a sustainability service, which is the NTU opinion poll, as we wanted to understand how students in NTUs view sustainability. We got about 30 plus participants for our survey. And recently, we also held another 2 events. One of them was a panel discussion, which was held on the 1st of September. Before the event, we wrote up a proposal for the event and planned out details such as the purpose of the event, timing and location, and the schedule of the event. The purpose behind the panel discussion was to start a dialogue between the Sustainability Office, academic staff, and students to encourage university-wide dialogue about structural change regarding climate and sustainability issues at a university level and raise awareness about it. Hence, we invited panelists from various organizations such as EOS, Arion, which are energy research institutes, and etc. We also invited a representative from the Sustainability Office to our panel discussion. For the student side, we invited another student green group called NTU Divest and a few students to present during the panel discussion. The purpose behind this is to give our students a platform to voice their thoughts, and then the panelists will comment on the presentations. The panel discussion went well for our first major event, and we are about 15 participants at maximum, which is an improvement from our documentary viewing event where the participant count was single digit. The other event we held about a week ago was a collaboration with another student green group from Germany, Students for Future from Bremen University. They found out about our group on the Climate Students Movement website and asked if we want to collaborate with them. We accepted their offer and we held Zoom meetings to discuss about what project we want to work together. Eventually, we decided to hold a climate justice dialogue where one professor from NTU and University of Bremen each will give a lecture on a topic related to climate justice. One of the difficulties our group faced when preparing for this event is finding a speaker. As climate justice is not a hot topic in Singapore, we had trouble finding a speaker that could talk about this topic. Luckily, we were able to find a speaker who held a lecture on food insecurity to participate in our event. So our actions is we would like to establish our goals and the directions we like to take, set up social media accounts, which we did. And we are part of the Inter-University Environmental Coalition in Singapore, which is the coalition of university pushing for sustainability in Singapore. We joined to be a part of the Climate Students Movement and research into NTU reporting on sustainability in 2017 and 2018. We spoke with our NTU project officer and drafted concerns to university and conducted a sustainability service on climate issues in NTU. We also held a climate a university climate pitch with groups from Malta and Sweden, and joined NTU's Earthling Biodiversity with the exhibition. Sorry. So currently our current focus is to push for a sustainability executive in NTUSU. We created a roles and responsibilities list of what the sustainability executive would do in the student union. We believe that this will be beneficial in both in raising awareness about the ability to make structural change as a student, thus engaging more students in more sustainability-related activities and action. A person responsible or two will allow them to dedicate time to sustainability initiatives as opposed to having it as a side project, allowing for quicker change while also acting as a way to show that our students do care about the issues and it is a priority for our students. We are also pushing for a sustainability secretary/director in the NTU Hall Councils. Currently, we are working with the Hall Councils and we are starting a training session soon in October. We also engage in a local organization called the Climate Conversation, who are also willing to help us start this training session. And although we haven't managed to engage many halls, we are happy to start with where we can and hopefully expand into all the halls over time. Along the way, the university announced that they were setting up a sustainability office. We'll be releasing yearly reports again, as the last sustainability report stopped in 2017. It then became one of our goals to also get in contact with them, understand their perspective, and to work together with them to hopefully influence change. While there were some difficulties in the initial conversations, and it seemed that they were a little bit defensive, we were both persistent and tried to be understanding and established that we wanted to collaborate and work with them. Currently, they are willing to work together with us, which is great. And we are waiting for the upcoming sustainability report, which is aimed to be released at the end of the year. And after that, we have a plan to do an upscale survey project with them. Our previous sustainability surveys launch gave us experience in this area. And we hope that we'll be able to reach more students and staff through this round and to also make use of this opportunity to gather interested students to do some focus group discussions on how we can move forward as a university. While planning out and executing these projects, we also went into some difficulties along the way. One of the difficulties we face is lack of manpower. As for now, our group is very small with only 5 active members. On top of that, we have external commitments such as tutorials and exams during the semester. As a result, we sometimes struggle to find time to work on our projects, which means we have to delay some of them. For example, the panel discussion I talked about earlier was originally meant to be held last year, but it was pushed to this year. This also means that it is difficult for us to participate in external sustainability projects or events. Another challenge we face is publicizing our group. Although we publicize our events and our groups often on Instagram, we have difficulty attracting people to participate in our events and to join as a member of our group. Hence, we have to think of ways to set ourselves apart from the other green groups in our universities and to catch people's attention. During my time in NTU Green Sparks, I have learned a lot from my fellow group members and my experience working in this group. Before joining this group, I was very shy and was afraid of presentations and speaking out in public. My experience in the campaign group has helped me feel more comfortable with speaking out. Because, for example, when we have meetings, we will take turns to host and lead each meeting, and combine this with the opportunities to present, I feel more confident and less afraid of speaking. Being in NTU Green Sparks also allowed me to understand different perspectives and approaches regarding sustainability due to exposure with other student green groups, local or overseas, and other organizations such as the Sustainability Office when we collaborated with them. This also helped widen my scope on sustainability, not just on an individual level, but also on a structural level. This is the end of my presentation. Our Instagram and emails on this slide. Please feel free to ask me any questions or give any suggestions if you have any. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Melody, for that presentation. It was really nice to hear about what you're doing in your local group. Just again, because we're slightly behind on time, does anyone have a question about Melody's presentation? Because if not, I think we'll probably move on to our next speaker. But if you do think of any questions, if you pop them in the chat, we will try and address those. But thank you again, Melody, for that. I think, Isha, are you able to? Oh, perfect. Yes, so our next speaker is from our Finnish group, Complex. So I think now we're going to invite Giuliano to speak, if you're here.
Yes, I am.
Great.
Okay, can I share the screen?
Yes, I think that should be.
Okay, then just a second. I think now you should be able to see it, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, beautiful. Oh, okay. Well, then first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good night to everyone. Welcome, friends. It is very nice to be here once again with all of you. And wow, what a big topic. What a big day or night or evening we have today. Let me start by discussing what we have been doing so far. So my name is Giuliano, and I am representing Complex. I know an Italian guy representing a Finnish group. That is fun, isn't it? But it is. And in doing so, we're trying to keep with the trajectory that Complex has been doing so far in trying not only to engage in sustainability as we traditionally do, but going especially beyond into trying to gather people that are not traditionally part of those movements into those movements. That has been, over this last few years, probably one of our main goals. Now, to talk about who we are, we of course have to start by talking about this genius guy that we had before me. The person that was a sustainability coordinator in Complex was this lovely fella here that you can see. His name is Robert, and Robert is our in-house genius. Now, most of the ideas that we have now in Complex for the events, for the goals, those were all designed by Robert. So we have a lot to thank for this guy. And well, what are those ideas in essence? So the first one is the Sustainability Month. Now, we understood that one day is not enough, right? So as we had the Earth Day, things were focused on a single day, and that was just not enough. So we thought about using the excuse of a Sustainability Month so that we can present a lot of events during those days of the month, and thus be able to present other perspectives, other ideas to showcase the works of other people, and thus try to engage people a little bit more on that conversation, because frankly, one day is not enough. Well, Sustainability Month, like I said, is an umbrella term. So it encompasses different types of events, and those events that are encompassed during the Sustainability Month are divided into 3 axes. So knowledge, entertainment, and community. Now, especially over this past few years, with the COVID crisis, and now with the crisis here in Europe as well, it is very draining to simply present classes, to simply, come to you with a slide that is full of information and details and then teach people about sustainability. It is very draining. So instead of doing that, we thought, well, why? Of course, we do have to bring knowledge, but whilst bringing knowledge, why not also bring some entertainment? Why not also create a community so it becomes easier to deliver the message that we want to deliver? And as I said, influence people that are not traditionally part of those movements to be part of those movements. Well, one of the events that are covered in that umbrella event of the Sustainability Month was the cultural storytelling. Now, the idea of that is to value other forms of knowledge besides the Western scientific ones. Now, we have a lot of communities in the Global South, communities here in Finland with the case of the Sami, that have traditional knowledge that goes back to hundreds, even thousands of years. And we, because, especially here in the West, I mean, because we tend to value the Western scientific knowledge, which should not be discarded, of course, but because we tend to value that as traditionally the only form of knowledge, we end up losing all these other ways in which we can understand the world. And by giving the opportunity of listening and humbly listening to the stories of other groups, we might as well be able to have a glimpse into the way they understand reality and the way they have dealt with sustainability in the past. Just as one example, here in Finland, we have, like I said, the indigenous community of the Sami, and they present a case study in adaptability that is far greater than the ones that we have in the entirety of the West. So it is quite necessary for us to listen to what they have to say. Like I said, it is also a great place to create a space for marginalized narratives to be heard. Like I said, on the Western scientific one, traditionally, just a few voices are heard more than others. So this creates an opportunity for those to speak. And it is very cozy. I don't know about you guys, but on a personal level, I feel like it gets very personal when we gather around the fire and we drink something hot and we talk about the stories of our past. It's really cozy. It's really fun, and it brings a sense of community, a sense of childish wonder that I quite enjoy. Now, another event that we made was the eco-anxiety support group. Now, that was because we have seen that people that usually traditionally work into those sustainability movements, they tend to become little by little quite depressed, because it is a heavy topic, because it is difficult to handle, even though, of course, we have made great strides in this past few years, but still it is a very demanding topic. And thus, those people deserve some support. They deserve some loving, and that's what we try to do. So the idea here was to discuss among peers in a safe space about the dangers, the problems, the challenges that we face working on that, and having a professional support. Now, that professional support can either come from a psychologist that is trained especially in the area of eco-anxiety, or someone that is not a psychologist but has some sort of training on that area, which is also quite interesting, because then you can have different ways in which you can receive support. It's not only one form of support. Finally, we have the debate club, and the debate club is part of this broader perspective, as I said, to try to accommodate people that are not traditionally part of those movements. We understand that traditionally people that work with sustainability tend to be people that are very cooperative, people that are very open-minded, people that already have some connection, some personal connection to the sustainability topic. But what about the others? Because we do need those as well. The most people that we have engaged on those, the merrier. So how do we get them to participate? People that might not be so cooperative, people that might not be so open-minded. Well, one way to do it is to present an event that we would not typically have, which is a debate club. So in a competitive debate in which people have to, disagree and present contradictions and differences in opinion that are a bit more harsh than we traditionally like to have, those are also new ways to achieve a new group of people that might think and operate in a different way than we do. So that is nice to attract a new type of audience. And the debate club specifically was actually funded by the Nordic Youth Biodiversity Network, which is also something that I strongly recommend to the other groups to try out, talk to different organizations, try to make collaborations with them. It is also a good opportunity to create network. Like I said, in those ideas of trying to promote the environmental movements to people that are not traditionally part of those movements, we have also devised a quiz. So like I said, again, to attract a new type of audience. And this is a very fun opportunity to teach, because being completely honest, it is very draining. It is very boring to listen to someone explain for hours and hours how the ecosystem operates and how Gramscian perspectives operate under those circumstances. But it's so much interesting to actually be part of a quiz that asks those same questions and makes us learn in a funnier or more interesting way. I don't want to take a lot of time now so that we have time for comments, questions, whatever comes. So thank you very much. And as we say here in Finland, kiitos.
Great, thank you so much for sharing all of the things that Complex have been doing. A lot of that's really innovative as well, like you said at the start. So I think, yeah, if anyone's got any questions or comments on that presentation, I think we'll open the floor up to that now. Anna, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, hello, Juliano. I really thought you were Brazilian. You have a super Brazilian vibe, you know, so you are Italian. Okay. So thank you for your presentation. It was really, really interesting and inspiring. I was wondering, from that initiative, the different initiatives you have there, do you feel like there is one that attracts people more, like you have a better response from people?
Yeah, thank you, Anna. So first, I am technically also Brazilian. My mom is Brazilian, so there you go. This is how it comes. But on a different level, and thank you for the vibe. That to me is the greatest compliment ever. But going then to the specificities of your question, I think there are many different events for different people. So I guess it depends on which type of group you wanted to resonate further. Trying to go for the people that are not traditionally part of those events, I think one thing that people really like is the debate. It is usually a full house every time we do that. And here in Finland, to be able to have a full house is quite a lot, since we don't have a lot of people here. But that is quite nice. I think if you want to attract a different type of audience, trying to think outside the box of those traditional, very collaborative, open-minded things might be a good way. And for us, the people that actually work on those movements, the eco anxiety was for sure the better one. It was at the beginning, it was a way for people to know each other, to network, and then in the end, it was just all of us crying together, you know, trying to solve our issues, and it was very nice. So I guess it depends on which one you prefer.
Yeah, great insight. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Anna. Were there any more questions or comments? I think if not, we'll move on to the next thing. So I'll pass over to you again, Isha.
All right. So, oh wait, before that, I think, well, sorry, I forgot. I think before that, maybe does everyone want to switch on their camera? I think we're hoping to take a photo for the event. So if everyone could just quickly switch on the camera, and then we'll move on to the next section. While you guys are switching on your camera, I will just explain the next section a bit maybe. So the next section is a breakout discussion. So you guys will be put into rooms of 4 or 5 people, and you'll discuss the question about, like, in an ideal world, what you hope students will learn from universities and how maybe they'll be supported in the transition from higher education institutions from learning to sustainable or green careers, for example. So that's our question. You can discuss it in your rooms, and then we have a place where you can kind of input some of your answers, suggestions, ideas as well. So, okay, is everyone's, okay, if everyone who can turn on their camera, turn it on, I'll just give it maybe 10 more seconds, and then I'll screenshot. It will take some time because I have 2 pages of it to do, but okay, I hope some cameras are still turning on, so I'll just wait for 5 more seconds. Okay. Oh, I forget. I think sometimes we do this. So, like, I think if you have any plants, animals, some kind of toy that you want to bring on to the any kind of item you want to hold with you, just to make the picture more fun, feel free to do so. It's the one that's right in front of me. So I have a cat here. Okay. Okay, so 5 more seconds and I'm gonna start. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, hold on, I need to take a second one. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I hope that was fine because it was 2 pages this time. All right, let me just, I'll just share my screen for 1 second. So this is the discussion questions we'll be discussing, and I am, oops, okay, so I'm just going to send that discussion questions in the chat so everyone has it, and put everyone into the breakout rooms. I think we will come back in maybe about 6 to 7 minutes, just in the interest of keeping it on time. Hi everyone, I think we're waiting about 20 more seconds for everyone to come back from the breakout rooms, and then we will get started on the next presentation.
Yeah, hopefully we've not lost too many people in the transition.
By the way, I think if you guys still, okay, I hope everyone's back.
I think they're coming back in now.
Yeah. I think we're waiting a few more seconds maybe so that everyone can get back. And I think if you guys want to continue to put in some of your thoughts, the Padlet is still open until the end of today, because tomorrow then we will change the questions, but feel free to just put it down your thoughts like until tomorrow basically. And I think now we'll move on to the next part, which is that we have Agatha from Green Life Network. Yeah, so we have Agatha from Green Life Network will be sharing about what her group in Uganda has been doing. Agatha, are you here?
Thank you so much.
Hi.
I hope you're hearing me.
Yeah, we can hear
Hello.
you.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. Agatha Natrinda is my name. I'm presenting Green Life Network from Uganda, and I'm a student from Makerere University Business School. I hope I can share my screen.
Yeah, please go ahead to share your screen. I think maybe you want to make the screen big before sharing, like make it full screen before sharing, because now we're only seeing like it's half.
Okay. Hope you're seeing it. Hello? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
You're seeing it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is Green Life Network. This is our logo. What is Green Life Network? Green Life Network Association is one of the first environment associations in an African business school. When I talk about my country, Uganda, I believe this is the first association in Uganda, and it started from Makerere University Business School. The main purpose as to why we started this association was to call upon the youth, the students, to come and join the association to fight to change our climate, because there has been deforestation, polluting of the swamps, swamp reclamation, but the main purpose as we started this was to call upon the students to know what is climate change. Most of us being in business schools, we don't know more about climate. I personally at first, I just knew climate as in climate, seeing trees, swamps, but we don't know much about climate. But that's why we started this association, to give more knowledge to the youth, what is climate specifically. The history about it. the history about Green Life Network. In September 2021, Green Life Network Association was launched and registered on 18 with the Guild of Makerere University Business School. And on this side, on the left-hand side, this shows the guild with the patron when we were registering it. And on the right-hand side, this is our patron, Green Life Network Association, Mr. Kusasla Samuel. And on 8th March, it was officially launched. And we hosted Mr. Lian Patton and our principal, Professor Balunywa. As Green Life Network, we've had several successful projects, whereby on 21st July, Green Life Network Association held a climate change awareness event at campus with a theme, Waste for Circular Economy and Youth Employment. In this campaign, we invited many guests. Ras Mercy from UN, she talked about how the youth should involve themselves into fighting this climate change that have led to a climate change. So she encouraged the youth to join the association, and also invited our principal, our deputy principal, and he thanked our association for have done such an activity, because this was the first time as MOOBS, which is Makerere University Business School, having such an association for the past years. So he was happy with us starting such an association, calling upon the youth, and he encouraged us to push it more, and they'll be there, and he promised always be there to support us in case of any support. We also planted trees in different places. We went to Sezibwe Falls, where we planted more trees, and we had trips to different places. As you can see here, this is our group. When we had visited Sezibwe Falls, we are planting trees. We've also had class movement campaigns calling upon students to join Green Life Network Association. And this helped us, because this association, as we were starting, we started as 15 members, but when we did the campaigns around campus, in classes, inviting the students to join, right now, as I can say, we are 50 students in the association, and we believe that in the next semester, we are also going to get more students. That's a sure promise. Our plans to expand Green Life Network to other universities. Yeah, we wouldn't want to hear Green Life Network only being in MOOBS. So we have plans of registering it in other campuses all over our country, Uganda. So far now, we have registered it to Makerere University main campus, and that is an achievement to us. And also planning to register it in different campuses, Chambogo University, Bara University, and many other universities. So these are the plans we have. Through sensitizing students and university staff members to acknowledge knowledge concerning environmental conservation, thus improving climatic resilience in universities. Through inviting other universities to join us during the development of green technologies, which would help in eradicating unwanted plastics and polythene bags that may be dangerous to the environment. Through spearheading research, innovations, and campaigns aimed at greening local communities and universities. Through inviting other institutions to join Green Life Network campaigns, thus attracting other institutions to start up similar associations. And we've done several invitations. We've been inviting other universities to come and join us so that they may get the morale to start the associations. And through that, that's when that's how we registered this association into Makerere University. We had invited them to attend a meeting and they got interest through that. So we are planning to have more, we are planning to invite more other institutions to come and join our meetings, to organize online meetings, even the campaigns to join us. Sorry. What encourage students to do? I would encourage students, specifically in the whole world, or I can say Uganda, students should join the association, spread awareness about environmental conservation. And I'm really happy that students of MOOBS have really acted positively to our associations. They have really responded well. Whenever we call upon the students to join, they have always responded positively, and which it makes us proud in our campus and in our country, Uganda. Students should be innovators by reusing wastes such as plastics. Here I try to mean, there's a video I normally watch on YouTube, like we get those plastic, I normally tell students to get the plastic bottles instead of disposing them anyhowly, to get those plastic bottles and shape them into flower vessels, and they can even plant their crops instead of disposing them. Yeah, that's it. And also, we normally have the maize cobs. I don't know if you know them, but instead of cutting down trees for charcoal, we normally encourage students here in Uganda to use maize cobs choose them for charcoal, because this will reduce the cutting down of trees in our country. Yeah. Students should fight for genuine causes such as cutting down trees, deforestation, swamp reclamation. We are planning this semester as Green Life Network to move around, to make a campaign. We want to make a movement campaign in town, telling people about the causes that result into cutting down of trees. And in our country, there is this problem. Most of people have planted in swamps, are building in swamps, and which is leading to poor climate. And that's our plan, that we are planning to educate more people, mostly those who are planting around swamps and building around swamps, to educate them the causes that result into doing that. And I hope they will change for the betterment of our country. This is a group. This is our group. These are my group members. Yeah. So I personally, I would like to call upon the youth to join into fighting these causes that lead to climate change. I personally, I may not be knowing more about the climate, the science in it. Since I'm in a business school, I've not been taught about the science of it, but at least the knowledge I've gained, the knowledge I've learned from my association, at least I'm now able to fight also to make sure our climate is better in our country. And the problems we are facing as an association, maybe financial support, maybe connections to other associations in other countries. So I was requesting you to connect us. We can make us friends, we connect, we share, we can share the knowledge, and you teach us more. Because as I've seen, some are doctors into this, but for us as a business school, we only know the simple knowledge about climate, as you can know the deforestation, but so would request if we can get more associations or connections to those associations who really go deep into it and who know the science of it, to connect with us so that we can learn more. And this will encourage us to get interest, maybe even pursuing bachelors into climate studies. That's it. Yeah. But otherwise, our association is moving on well, and I know it's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. With time, it's going to be a proud association in Uganda. Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Agatha, for your presentation. That was, again, fantastic to hear about what you've been doing. Does anyone have any questions or comments you'd like to bring up and ask following that presentation before we move on to our next speaker?
Hello.
Hello, yep. Have you got a question for Agatha?
Well, I have a recommendation to Agatha and the association. Yes, she requested of some kind of like networking and maybe connecting their association to the like-minded or other association with a similar goal. Well, I think you can share the contacts, the focal contacts of your association, and then I will see how I can get in touch. See how I can link you to various opportunities. If there are conferences, if there are meetings, then I can always share these opportunities such that you can get to attend as a group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Were there any more questions? I think, that was just a comment saying great presentation, which it was. Good. Okay, so I think we'll move on to Uniklima, and we've got Anna, I think, presenting. So I'll let you get started.
I was wondering, Lucy, I sent the presentation to Isha. Do you think she could present it so we can focus on speaking? If not, it's already here.
Isha, did you have the presentation? Yeah. I think we might have lost Isha.
I think so.
Oh no, you're there.
Just give me a moment to open it. I have it here.
I can share it if it's a problem.
No, it should be fine. Can you see it?
Not yet.
It's loading. Yeah, now you can. Thank you.
Just tell me when you want to click the next slide, maybe, so then I can move on and tick for you.
Okay. So my name is Anna, and Anna is also presenting with me today. So you can
here.
Go ahead and start.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank climate students for inviting us to be here today. And it's an honor for us to be able to speak here. And as it's been said, Isha, if you can change the slide, please. Oh, thank you. Before I start talking about climate as itself, I would like to contextualize briefly the current conjuncture of your country in terms of education, environment, and activism. Even though we are facing the same problem, the main problem, that is the climate crisis, each country has its particularities. So we want to bring some of this particularity of our country. So as you can see by the presentation, in terms of education, only 5% of the total population concludes the undergraduation. And if you focus only on the population aged from 18 to 24, we see that just 8.1% is enrolled at higher education institution. Therefore, you can consider higher education as something that just a small part of society has access to. Environment-wise, there are some data that illustrate the degradation and the lack of measures being taken. For instance, Brazil occupies the 60th position between the largest greenhouse gases emitters, being responsible by 3.2% of the global total emission. And besides that, the deforestation area of Brazil Amazon increased by over 20% in 2021 when it's compared to previous years. And how those numbers affect society? We have to consider that minorities are more exposed to effects of climate change. And in a country marked by racism like Brazil, Black people are in vulnerable situation, which is aggravated by the climate crisis. Other point is Brazil has a high rate of murders of indigenous people, which is related to the illegal gold extraction and the expansion of industrial agriculture and the meat industry. Not only indigenous people are being murdered. Brazil is considered one of the most dangerous countries for environmentalists and land rights activists, ranking the 3rd position in the number of homicides of those individuals. The worst part of this is that the people responsible by those crimes are within your national Congress. They are also politicians who occupy the role of decision makers. So, that's a sad and brief context of your current situation.
You can go to the next slide, Isha. So I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about Bruno and Dom Phillips, the journalists and the indigenous scientists that were murdered here in Brazil this year. They were we didn't know about where they were. They were kidnapped and slaughtered and tortured and murdered. So people that are trying to make Brazil better are being constantly attacked there's so much violence in so many institutions. I don't know if you know Dorothy Stang, but she was a religious woman that wanted to support indigenous people, and she was also killed. Here are some people of the most recent were most recently killed here in Brazil. You can, next slide, please. So guys, quickly, how we began. So I told you on the chat earlier that Uniclima started after we met the climate students movement on the conference they did on 2020. And we got so inspired, and considering this, that Anna said before, that higher education is a privilege, we also think that knowledge is only power if you use it to change the world, to make the world better. So people in position of power are capable of enacting change, and most of them have a higher education degree. And we know that a higher education degree is a privilege that comes with responsibilities. So changes within the university in the curricular level can propagate change. So when people go to the job market, they will have the sustainability mindset, not the fossil fuel mindset. And we think that universities should deliver to the job market people that are environmentally aware and capable to act like it. So in addition, we think that investment in environmental education, climate education is a long-term policy, long-term climate policy. Next slide, please, Isha. So Uniclima has gone really far. We are almost 2 years old, but we have faced real struggles. We think that the lack of officialization, because the university is really bureaucratic and really hard for us to get recognition. So the communication with our course coordinator is really bad. It's really hard to reach them and then to be officialized. And this affects the engagement of the members, because they don't have recognition for their work. They don't have hours of certificated hours of contribution to Uniclima, and that really makes people, it's harder for people to contribute if they don't have a payback. So the lack of officialization has really made it difficult for us to implement some projects, as the climate perception survey And the letter of commitment, of climate commitment, we wrote on 2021 because teachers and heads of departments didn't want to sign the letter because we aren't an organization recognized by the university. So we keep, there are some stones in our way, but we are trying to solve them. Next slide, and then I go ahead.
So we're now talking about our strategies, and our major strategy is to engage students to join the Climate Action Network. So in the other words, transform them into climate leaders, transformative agents. And one of the ways we do that is using social media as a tool for dissemination of knowledge and awareness. Another strategy is using the fact that your university is the biggest Catholic university as a reason to follow the precepts of Laudato Si. Laudato Si is a document written by the Pope in which he proposed mobilization in order to combat the environmental degradation and establish a new form of development. And he says something about the earth being our common house. And because of that, you need to take care of that and everything. And even though we are not bound to any religion, we are not a religious institution, it's a good strategy since I talked before, your university is a Catholic institution. So you use that as a way to convince them to take some measures. And we also use those international rankings to say, oh, if you guys take this kind of measure, if you, for example, make us an official organization and things like that, it can help the university reach a good position in those international rankings. And it's good for its reputation and everything. So it's another strategy you use. We always advocate for that. And lately, but not least, we are in process of changing our internal structure. Because I will say it later, but we are become an academic league. So you need to fit in its modes. For example, we are piecing together the boards and the administration working group as one whole organ because it fits better to what our academic league is. So please, Isha, if you can. Yeah, thank you. And in regards to our achievements, you can mention a recent partnership with Sustainable University, which is a project from your university that focuses on agroecology and environment education. I take part of that as well because of this partnership. So, for example, they invite us to write an article who will be published in their book, and you achieve things with that partnership. That's what I mean. And as I said before, we are trying to officialize Uniclim as an academic league, and we choose to follow this path because it's easy and effective way to be recognized by your university and department. What is an academic league? Shortly, is a junction of education, research, and extension projects, so you have a wide range of action. And it's kind of sum up what Uniclim already is, what we are already doing. So it was an easy way. You don't need to make a whole change on our structure to fit on that. And the letter of climate commitment that Anna mentioned before, in which we propose some sustainable measures to be taken by university. We finished that, but as she said, the teachers don't want to sign that because we are not an official organization. So, and
we're working on it.
Huh?
We're working on it.
Yeah, as well in the officialization. It's still in progress. And last year, we are partner of the TEDx Savas Climate Hackathon, an event in which the participants had to come up with a solution related to sustainability in a short amount of time. And besides that event also counted with panelists and workshop to for the participants. So yeah, which was amazing. I take part of that before being a Uniclima member. So yeah, I think I can talk about that. Yeah, what was amazing. I can give my opinion about that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so about the future, we are currently
me.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Go ahead. No problem, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, guys.
I think we have to pace up so we don't run out of time.
Yeah. So yeah, you are developing our action plan to set up the action you must take and how you must organize yourself in order to achieve your goals. And you want to establish a green office, and within the green office, a sustainable observatory that will be a project that seek tracking our university greenhouse gas emission and what measures the university are taking in terms of environment and how climate change has been approached in disciplines and different courses. So that's what you're aiming with that project. We want to launch a climate student training to reach empowered other university to join the Climate Action Network and develop their own initiatives. So it's like a workshop. Not exactly, but you want to give your experience. And yeah, I would too say it's a workshop. Yeah, it can be characterized like that. And we want to launch Instagram Lives. It's something we did before. What is bring some personalities as a speaker of subjects related to climate change. So we set a date, and within that week, we invite those personalities to come talk about the experience, to share some knowledge. So that's what another plan for the future is something they already did, but we want to do that again.
Go ahead, Isha, please. Yeah. Okay, you can skip that a little. You can skip that. That's Gringo Dictionary. If you don't follow, please follow it. It's a Brazilian page of humor, and you can follow that. I'll send you on the chat. But we're almost finishing. We have some advice for you that were really important for us along the way. Always leave meetings with tasks and directments, because when we see a meeting, we have the preparation before the meeting and the follow-up after the meeting, and that's really important for you to get somewhere, even if it is an internal or external meeting. Also, having partners is essential. The Sustainable University Project has really supported us, and it is an initiative from the biological department, and we are from the social department. So those connections are really important. And also do onboarding sessions with new members, because sometimes people want to help, but they don't know how. So it's really important that they know the possibilities of helping you in your organization. Be polite with your request, but be firm. I think we are facing a huge problem and we have to take responsibility for it. And we have to be firm, with what we want, because it's not time to commit. Having documents to register your partnerships, like if you are being partner with another organization, sometimes it's important to establish your rights and your responsibilities, so things don't get messy on the way. And also value those who values you. Sometimes we were stuck trying to reach out someone that was completely ignoring us, but there were some amazing people that were really interested in helping us and supporting our work. So we have to value people that are interested in what we're doing and can take us further. Go on, Nisha. Okay, so what climate students have helped us in all this, besides inspiring our creation, Uniclima's creation? The workshops have always been inspiring, and I put this dusting gift here because we really love you. We really thank you for everything. We have been in some amazing workshops with like presidents of universities giving tips on us on how to argument with our professors. We had how to change the world workshop that was really helpful regarding curricular change. And I think we have that on the Climate Students Library. You should watch it, it's amazing. And personal guidance as well. Uniclima has faced some struggles, as I mentioned, and we also had like support from them when we had a situation we couldn't solve. They would really help us. Also, we had some really important personal gains and improvements participating in Climate Students. We developed skills, soft and hard skills. We have this community sense and activism, which is essential because this cause is so difficult and so give us so much anxiety. So Climate Students is a source of inspiration, ideas, networking, and meeting new initiatives that can give us alternatives to move forward. And at last, the online library is amazing. We used a lot of their resources and examples of documents that really helped us to have strong arguments regarding climate change and demands from youth. So it is amazing to have that kind of knowledge together on a link. So thank you for that. You can move on, Nisha. If you got any questions for us or suggestions, please go for it. We are learning by doing, and you are amazing. And if people don't have questions, we would like to end our presentation with the questions for the participants, but feel free to let us.
I think we are a little short on time, so maybe we can't go to the question. But I think Pascal has his hand raised. Do you have a question, Pascal? Maybe we can quickly run through that and then close up today's session.
Yeah, it's not a question. It's actually a recommendation. Yes, in new presentation, there was something you depicted on how environmentalists and people who are into climate or biodiversity conservation issues are completely on high risk, or they are threatened or even sometimes killed. But I think maybe you can change the strategy. Okay, sometimes in tackling such strategies in environmental conservation, we have the bottom-top strategy and then the top-bottom strategy. Yeah, and I see most of these people who are being threatened, it's as a result of employment of the bottom-top strategy. People tend to advocate for environmental conservation or climate-related change policy issues from what? From the grassroots level or from the local level. And maybe the recommendation could be that you can use the top to bottom strategy where you find that most of the advocacy can come from the high level resolution organizations like UN, let's say, for instance, like the COP, Conference of Parties. Yeah, like for instance, those guys who are going in Egypt for the COP27.
Yeah.
And yes, definitely, that's where your advocacy in environment conservation would come from. And with such high level policy formulation organization, then they would push the ideas to your government, and then the government would find it, or maybe the private investors, maybe I can call them the bad guys against environment conservation, would find it so much not easy to resist it, because you find that if people from the ground or from the grassroots community advocate, it is very easy for those people, the bad guys in environmental conservation, to stop them or to halt them with maybe life threats. So you can see how you can try to connect. Maybe this is also a platform, the climate student, science student, it's also a platform where you can use. I also heard you say something on social media. It is also very important. You can as well get to link to different environment conservation or climate change activist platforms. There is a famous one I normally see, it is Yango. So those are the policies that can help you employ the top-bottom conservation policy advocacy strategies, and it would be better. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for all the advice from Uniklima as well. I think they're going to be very useful too. Okay, I think now we need to quickly move on. Lucy, if you want to pick up. Oh no, did I close it? Yes, Anna, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because Uniklima would like to make an invitation to climate students, we would like to propose a session about neo-colonialism and international relations. I think this is a topic that involves both the North and global South. The difference between the global South, anyway. So I think we would like to propose a session about this, and we can, Uniklima can organize it, like participate to it, and we can invite someone else to talk about this, like a professor from a college. So if you're interested, please let us know.
I think that sounds wonderful, and I think we can set up. I think we also do like to have like our members. We were thinking of having some of our members run some workshops because they have experiences that's different. Yes. So we'll just maybe message me or email us, and then we can talk more about it and set something up. Lucy, do you want to pick up to maybe close off the event for today?
Yeah, I can, Isha, although I didn't know whether the first two slides were...
Right, sorry. Okay, I'll just quickly start off. So I think first I'll just share a bit about like how you can get involved, both as an individual as a group. So if you're an individual, you can get involved by, for example, so we have an introductory event in the coming Wednesday and Saturday for our Act on Your Climate Science campaign. So if you're interested in being a campaign coordinator or becoming a Green Office ambassador, we'll send a link later on after this event. So feel free to like sign up for the event and learn more about those opportunities. The second option is if you want to try to move things from an international level and work on an international movement, feel free to join our board. We'll also send more information and we'll be posting about it on our social medias, I think on Monday or Tuesday. And this is something that I think you can do together with setting up your own local group. This is something that in our board has been done quite a few times. So Anna, who presented just now, she as well was kind of our board member last year, and she set up Uniklima at the same time. I did the same in my own country. I think Quebec also did the same in Kenya. So if you're interested in doing something like that, that's also a possibility. The third option is to be involved with Sustainability Month Committee. I think Lucy talked about that earlier. So we're planning something and we want to try to get reach as many local institutions to start up like both international projects and like local projects. So if you're interested in getting involved with the Sustainability Month Committee, just email us or drop your email here or email us later on and we'll involve you with that as well. As a group, you can sign up as a Climate Students member. And if you'd like to join as a group, there are more information on our website and we'll also send it on later on. The only requirement is that we need 2 student representatives basically that will, as much as possible, attend like meetings and things like that. But there are no like, there's no fee and there's no like attendance or anything like that. So it's just kind of, because we know students can also be busy. The second one is the second one is back to the campaign. So as a group as well, if your group is interested in helping to further this campaign, you can also join as a campaign coordinator. Okay, then I think Lucy will share a bit about the external opportunities.
Yes, so just finally, we've got a few external opportunities, and yeah, these are kind of opportunities that we also share at our member meetings as well. So Isha, if you could change the slide, great. So the first one is an upcoming hackathon, and this is held by the International Education for Sustainability Association, so ILE. I don't know if you've heard of that, but they're running a hackathon on the 21st to the 23rd of October, and it's called, or it's centered around youth for climate change. I think with a specific focus on water. That's all the information that we have at the moment for that. But if you check out ILE's website or social media, if you're interested, I think they'll be posting some updates soon. The second opportunity is EU Teams for Green. So again, this is kind of another project that's been set up. It's an open call to fund youth-led actions advancing the green transition in EU carbon-intensive regions covered by the Just Transition Fund. So if that applies to you and you're interested, again, check out their website or social media for more information. And then I think we've got one more. So this is an expert panel which is going to be held on Zoom. It's about the climate emergency intersecting with the health emergency. You can see when it's going to take place in the different time zones there. And again, if you kind of, we'll either send you the link, or if you search it, you can find it. I think that's all of those. Oh, Isha, is this yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the last thing is that like we are involved with this. So a few of us have signed up for this online course. It's something that we're doing together with like some of our campaign coordinators ourselves, Green Office Movement, Oikos International as well as I think this new organization called Young Person's Guide for the Future. So basically it's just these different climate organizations, and we're attending this online course together about like how to lead from the emerging future, and to basically we want to try to use these tools and adapt them to our situation about transforming education, transforming higher education institutions, and kind of use this space to improve ourselves, like become better leaders, but also collaborate and discuss like ideas and suggestions. So if you're interested in it, we'll also send this information. You can still sign up for the course, and you can join our hub, so you can join our discussions where we will share like what's going on, what we're doing, and also discuss like collaborations basically. Yeah, I think that's the end, and I think we'll probably send this out in the chat as well, but like in email as well. But basically, I think we would love it if you guys could kind of like do a quick feedback form. I think Lucy, if you can send it in the chat. So basically, just let us know how you felt this event went, if you enjoyed it, and like what parts you feel like could be done better maybe, or any suggestions for future basically. And I hope to see everyone tomorrow as well. If you guys are free to join us for our session tomorrow, where we will have, I think it's on the next slide. So on session tomorrow, we will have like the different climate action rankings. So those national rankings in UK, Netherlands, and Sweden will be sharing, and then we have some coordinators sharing. And like I said, Green Office will also be coming down to share about their movement and like how you can maybe get involved with that as well. I think that's all. So feel free to also like connect with us on social media. And if that's, I think that's all for today. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow as well.